Hello and welcome. It's actually not 9 o'clock, it's 10:02. And I screwed up. I had to push it back an hour this week, but I forgot to change it to be at 10 o'clock and versus 9 o'clock. So if you listen to this live or on replay, sorry about that. Sorry that I messed up on putting it out for the right time. But it's currently 10:02, and this is the weekly Watchdog Wire rundown of things that I covered during the week. And then also talking about the dumbest Clermont Sun story or article, and what I plan to do in the upcoming week. So, all right, so let's go. I actually covered a shitload of stuff this week. So I formatted this a little different. I'm gonna put all the links into the posts on the different social medias, so you can go click on this stuff. But I figured, man, I covered so much stuff. I couldn't really. I sat there a little bit trying to think about how would I prioritize which one of these things. So they got 15 different things here, and I probably left some things out. This week is going to be a slower week. I am unbelievably overloaded right now with some things, including something that doesn't involve this region whatsoever. And so it's just going to be a little slower because I got to get my head down on some other things. But let's go through what I thought I would do is real quick. It's 10:03 right now. I've got 15 items here. Try to do basically a minute, minute and a half hit on each one of them to talk about things that I covered or talked about this week and what I thought was maybe the most interesting aspect of it. So the first thing was the No Kings rally. So the No Kings rally took place at around Eastgate Mall, and so I did an interview with Jen Mazzucchelli, who is the organizer of the event. And a lot of these videos, I might not put the audio on for them. I can, but I saw like got somebody dressed as a pig here, some old person out in a scooter in the middle of the road. Was some of the things that I highlighted. One of the things that was most interesting to me, and I'm going to try to fast forward. You can listen to the interview. She gets up and runs away during the interview. Is it just seemed bizarre to me at how everybody showing up was like, this was before the event started. They were just immediately lining up and signing these sheets. And it just seemed bizarre. I've been involved in a lot of Trump type honking waves and other events. And I never, even if I wanted to get people to do this, it would be hard to get them corralled. But these people all seem to have gotten instruction beforehand that immediately upon arrival, you need to sign in on your sheet. Am I saying that people get paid for doing this? I don't know. I think people might get paid for organizing it and being able to show that they had so many people there and have a record of who specifically uh, came and did whatever they were supposed to do. But that was the No Kings rally, and I didn't really feel like Jen had much of any compelling answers to questions I was asking that were fairly straightforward. But we did agree on that illegals should not be in the country, and that our disagreement is on how they should be deported. We agreed on that illegals shouldn't be able to vote in elections, and we agreed on that we should have uber transparency from government. So even with those agreements, she still got up and walked away because maybe she wasn't supposed to agree on all those things as clearly as she did. All right. So the second thing, New Richmond wrestling scandal. So there's a New Richmond wrestling scandal. This guy just resigned. Let's see if it pops up here. A guy just resigned that is a coach at New Richmond or was a coach at New Richmond, Matthew Waldman. Some of the allegations, I'm not sure what the actual facts are. The allegations that I think were very credible that these were the allegations had to do with inappropriate messaging, potentially inappropriate pictures, and also contact with moms that was potentially inappropriate. So we'll see what the detail is. But the gentleman here, or the guy here, I don't know if I call him a gentleman, Matthew Waldman, has resigned from New Richmond. All right, let's go back. The next thing is Joe Dills. So Joe Dills, has had a serial history of having problems with the truth and being clear on the truth. So he was involved with Mark Ritter and illegal roids or substances, and he denied it. And then he quit denying it when I had direct evidence of text messages and otherwise. And then he always denied allegations of serial affairs and misogynistic behavior. But then his wife went online and was making claims of the same things. And so now he's in hiding. And, I try to do a talk or trespass with him or talk to him about this stuff. But he doesn't, I think, he's trying to hide. And I think it's very unfortunate because I think actually Joe could really benefit by basically coming clean, and kind of cleanse the soul. And I think people get afraid to do that, thinking that somebody's going to use things against them. And part of handing yourself over is to just tell the truth. And regardless of if you think somebody uses it unfairly, I think the reality is that people want to forgive people. People want to see people reform and help them to have wise counsel and to improve. And I hope that Joe will someday turn the tide and start with doing an interview, start with talking about it. He wanted to do an interview with me until the additional credible allegations came forth with his wife on the serial affairs. All right. So the next thing is GOP vengeance for Charlie Kirk. I did a piece on the GOP wanting having a quote on their front of their building that was, let's see if we can find it here. Here we go. It's going to pop there. Okay. Deuteronomy about vengeance and so forth. And I thought that was very bizarre that would be what you would put up when I think Charlie Kirk and his wife have been about forgiveness, including forgiving the person who is alleged to have shot him. But we know there's lots of strange things about that that make it suspicious that is the right answer as to what actually happened. But that's another story I put it. FOP Lodge 112. I think I actually had a couple posts on this talking about the FOP Lodge 112 is a huge disappointment, and they are not the collective bargaining unit that I know of for any Clermont County law enforcement agency or contract. But they get involved in what I think are sketchy, rigged political endorsements that seem to be aligned with Linda Fraley. And so they endorsed a guy named Greg Gentile to replace Linda Fraley, who has no experience and no qualifications to do so. But Linda Fraley wants somebody she can trust to be the next auditor so she can continue to keep the bodies buried. But John Becker, who's also competing for that office, was not invited to participate in that. And then these two guys, Matt Beamer and John McGraw, have also, and Dylan Blevins, have also been on the dismissed side of the Lodge 112. So I think we should expect more from law enforcement, that if they are going to get involved in political endorsements, that it's not just some rigged nonsense and bullshit. I have asked all the members of their kind of executive committee and board to any of them to interview with me, justifying the process where they only include the winner. So they only include the predefined winner in their endorsement process. And DiPuccio, a guy named DiPuccio is Rick DiPuccio is the head, and Shane Olson of Remodeling Project fame, and Brady List probably should be on fame, is also on one of their, I think he's second vice president or something. So far, none of them have gotten back to me. Remember, that which you're proud of, you want to talk about, and that what you're ashamed of, you want to keep secret. So let's go on. West Clermont board, I did a talk or trespass with Rich Glisson, and that was a good time, and you can go watch it. We have one of our, I'm not lying, we have one of our board members that's running as a team of the Chumley, Patton, Rudy team. Mr. Rudy has mental issues, and but they're a team. It shows you the power of a reliable vote. And so Glisson, I have been refused interviews by Chumley, Michael Chumley, Jim Rudy, and Ryan Patton, and because they're, I think, all afraid. Their record is terrible. They're incumbents on the board, and their record is terrible. The fact that you had a financial measure that failed at the ballot box, 83-17, and Personally, I know I'm going to vote for only Glisson. I'm not saying Glisson is a good guy or a great guy or the salvation of world peace, but I think there needs to be change on that board, or else West Clermont's going to go right back into the shitter. It's already well on its way into the shitter where it was prior to Ken Geis and the township helping them get a new high school and building remodelings. All right. Number 7 on here is Fraley hidden meeting. So there is a secret. If you follow me, there's a secret board where they notice meetings secretly, so nobody can actually figure this out. And there's like 5, 6, 7 commissions and boards that notice their meetings there. I tried to get their policy. They have to have a policy per Ohio Revised Code 12122F of how they notice meetings of the public, and they have to have reasonable notice, which putting it on a secret bulletin board in the county building is not reasonable notice. It's crooked. And that's the Linda Fraley operation, crooked. Okay. They don't believe in transparent government. You saw that if you watched me with the budget commission. So I tried to get records of their these things. I eventually have gotten some things now, but it's like pulling teeth, and they don't even care. I don't think Linda or any of her staff give a rat's ass about the public from a standpoint of transparency. Now, if you go in there, they're going to try to glad hand you, right? They're going to glad hand you on taking you through something, but in the big scheme, they're the most untransparent, because transparency would get Linda in trouble, because you'd realize even more that her office is a Friends and Family Employment Bureau and that they need to keep the bodies buried. All right. So Tacolvi's hidden staff, the same kind of thing happened with Mark Tacolvi. He refuses to update his staff on his website from 2023. They refuse to provide information. So I'm going to show up in person to inspect the record. You are allowed to inspect records of government in person at their public office at the regular business hours. So I had told Brian Schreiber, well, I'm going to come and inspect in person. Then he tried to say, oh, I gave it to you. I sent it, emailed it to you. You're not going to do it in person. But then when I got there, there's a fun recorded call with him. And then he eventually, gives in to give it to me. Hey, there's David Gass. Wow. I wonder, David Gass. I wonder if any prosecutor friends are doing any favors to weaponize the justice system against anybody for David Gass lately. But Mark Tacolvi refuses to take questions, has horrible website. What I'm understanding is that he's basically not going to run again, so he's checked out. And he basically is just not managing the office properly, not setting any tone of any. I don't know that Mark Tacolvi could set a tone of ethics or excellence, but he's not doing that. He's largely checked out. All right. So how am I doing on time? All right. We're up to number 9, arrogant staff. So I'm not even going to click on this one. You can go watch this. I had a Rule 12 permission to record court and Judge Clark's court. And while I was doing so, some jackass prosecutor guy blocked my camera. I get, you might not notice a camera, you block it. That's not, it wasn't like I felt like he was intentionally coming there to block it. He just didn't pay attention to what was going on around him. But when I asked him to move, he went apeshit at me, and he continued to go apeshit, wouldn't give me his name. And it's just indicative of the Mark Tacolvi culture. And I said in the rundown on that maybe he's not a bad guy. Maybe the guy's not a bad guy, but Mark Tacolvi, being the way he is, refusing to take questions, being secretive, locking the office, has created a bad climate, has created a climate where people are more suspicious of him and his staff and have more focus on him and his staff. And that is on him. That is on him. So if you're one of these assistant prosecutors from Mark Tacolvi, know that the boss, being afraid to take a question from the press, constantly having sketchy behavior, like investigating somebody for the Brady list while having that person do a remodeling project for him, is put you in this position. And I think the questions are only going to get more, not less, around the running of that office. Okay. So municipal court, I'm not going to click on this one either. I went to Margaret Clark's court and click on it. And sat there for more than 2 hours, a couple hours in the morning, time in the afternoon. And she's sitting in for crazy Katie Terpstra, who is on maternity leave. And Judge Clark may be a wonderful, nice person, but she's an aged out judge in her 70s. And what happens, you can't run for judge past 70. But what they do is they put you on this visiting judge program where you continue to be a judge, but now totally unaccountable to the voters or the public, and also in your 70s, so that you're maybe not as sharp. There's a reason why people, the citizens, I think twice put them affirmed a 70 minimum. Your checkout at 70. There's a reason why, but these visiting judges things just bastardize all that. And so Margaret Clark is the visiting judge for Katie Terpstra. So I sat in there and I was kind of like, what in the hell is going on in here? Because the court just went, it was just nothing happening. It just like nothing was. And I got like, okay, maybe it's her. But then I started feeling like maybe it's the prosecutor. Maybe the prosecutor's the issue that can't keep the court moving along in a timely or effective manner. And I don't know. It was just bizarre to me. And I even in here, I went over to Nathan Little's court and it was running like what I'd expect of a court. It was running like what I would expect of a court. Whereas what was happening in Clark's courtroom was very confusing to me. I don't know how she gets through a docket. It's like nothing happens all day. But then she was getting very frustrated in the afternoon with the inability of the prosecutor to get a case going, including a case that was continued in progress. So I'm not sure, I don't think she should be there, but I'm pointing up that maybe there's other factors like the prosecutor's office. All right. So West Union, Ohio Valley School District. I was over in West Union for a Board of Elections thing, but I went to this school board meeting because there was some sort of weirdo dance team that performed at the high school and the elementary school that shocked the sensibilities of the community. And so I went there and I got an interview. This woman's the president of the board. The woman to the right was the superintendent. So I got them to comment. And the president of the board claimed the vetting process worked as designed. Okay, so the vetting process doesn't block things that are going to cause a lot of consternation with the community. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But they also maintain that 70 plus employees, teachers and stuff that were present all loved it. Nobody had a problem with this weirdo dance troupe that appears to be some front for promoting LGBT culture. And what happens is I think that the term bullying has been so bastardized as to meaning if you don't accept beliefs that are fundamentally opposite your beliefs, that means you're bad and you're bullying. You don't have to, if you violate, bullying to me is if you're violating somebody's rights in some way, stealing their lunch money, assaulting them, denying them access someplace, those things, those kind of things. But now it's been bastardized into this, Jimmy doesn't accept me and doesn't want to be friends with me. And that somehow might be bullying, or that somehow is a problem. And that's what these kind of things to me tend to promote. I wasn't at this event. I've not seen video of the event. But it just really shocked the sensibility. So a lot of people were concerned with it. The next thing is Aaron Haslam and his license plates. Well, I skipped one here. Aaron Haslam, Mark Toll, I'm told. I pronounce some of these names wrong because I'm not from Adams County. Mark Toll is one of the board members on the Board of Elections. And I'm actually going to turn on the audio for this one at the very beginning because I stopped him in the parking lot and he, assuming it's going to play, and I asked him some questions about why they never considered any of the clear and compelling evidence against Aaron Haslam. And he just acts like a ficus tree. So hold on, let me turn the audio on.
About the water bills. Why didn't you even ask any questions about the water bills? Why didn't you ask any questions about the vehicles being registered in a different county?
I'm not sure.
So don't you think it's weird that somebody lives someplace that doesn't use enough water to shower every day?
That's some interesting questions. I'm not sure.
Well, why didn't you ask any of those questions? How you doing?
Good.
Okay,
What
so
are you here
that's the
for?
part I wanted to highlight.
I'm right now taking.
I mean, you want to talk about somebody who should not be on a board of elections. I mean, God forbid there's actual, well, God, who knows how much election fraud there is with ficus trees like this on the board of elections. Hey, don't you think it's curious that somebody claims to live someplace where they don't use enough water to shower, or their vehicles are registered in another county, or their ethics filing says they live with their wife and they don't? Isn't that all kind of odd? Oh no, good questions. Yeah, somebody should ask that. It's unfreaking believable how crooked this Adams County Board of Elections is. But I think they're enabled by Brian Shrive from Clermont County with his desire to basically protect Aaron Haslam. It is, these are supposedly Republican people, and I want to point people up to people as the biggest election fraud issue that I'm aware of to ever happen in the recent past in Ohio is at the hands of Republicans. It's Larry Householder buying elections with crooked bribe money. And so these Republicans, I think he might have been a Democrat, but these Republican dominated counties and people like Brian Shrive, they want to have, it's all people with complete situational ethics, immoral, unethical people. Somebody told me this message that this Mark guy, no, he's not. No, he's not. People that know, unless if he's mentally incapacitated and unable to process information like that, if you don't use water, that would imply you're not taking your shit and shower. If he's not able to process that, then maybe he's a ficus tree. Maybe he has a significant mental impairment. But otherwise, these people know what they're doing. It's a cover-up. It is a cover-up to protect Aaron Haslam and preserve what is an invalid voter registration. All right. So then the Aaron Haslam plate thing. I'm not going to click on that one. So Aaron Haslam tried to pull a quick one and appoint Brian Shrive, his buddy. Nothing like appointing your buddy to be the prosecutor against Aaron Haslam on his not having a county sticker on his plates. God forbid Aaron Haslam would just admit that he broke the law and pay the fine. God forbid. People like Aaron Haslam should never have to pay a fine, right? They should never be accountable to anything, and they should be able to pick their own prosecutors. That's what Aaron does. But he did this, and it hopefully it's blown up in his face because he did it contrary to what the statute says. I think the judge, Gabbard, got what the statute says. The funny part is he also filed to appoint Brian Shrive as his personal prosecutor, defense attorney, in the wrong court. So your prosecutor in Adams County doesn't even know what court is responsible for doing special prosecutor appointments. All right. I did an interview with, let's pull it up here. I did an interview with Marcel Sturbich. And so go check that out. He's had some personal experience with boards of elections and challenges and so forth. So it was interesting talking to him. Both he's running for Secretary of State, which is currently occupied by Uniparty member Frank LaRose, but he has his take on things. And then finally, the last thing on the list of 15 is Alan Freeman. So there actually is another Alan Freeman's election commission case, and it relates to that on December 13th, 2021, while awaiting the issuance of a finding against him and a $50,000 fine. Absolutely crooked. Alan Freeman, his treasurer Susan Joan, and Don Bray tried to pull a fast one and cancel his whole campaign committee by filing a final report and termination, and then claiming to the election commission that they no longer had jurisdiction, so they couldn't issue a $50,000 fine. Well, the election commission still did their thing, but now that report that was filed on December 13th with the specific intent to evade accountability for fraudulent campaign finance involving Larry Householder on the part of Alan Freeman, that is what this hearing is about. That's what this case is about, and there's going to be a hearing on the 20th. And believe it or not, it's one of the things already taken up my time because there's shit I got to get prepared for that, including subpoenas for different people that I would want to testify. All right. So that's literally just about everything I covered very quickly in this past week. I am not going to have, I'm going to have a reduced, maybe I'll repost some things as highlights, because I just have so much stuff. If I go silent for a little bit, it's not because I'm checking out or something. It's because I have something or things that I need to work on that I need to get done. And now I got stuff to work on, but I also have something I'm working on that has nothing to do with this Watchdog wire at all. That's taking up a lot of my time. All right. So let's go to the dumbest Clermont Sun story of the week. Okay. The dumbest Clermont Sun story of the week. And I want to put this up bigger so you can see it better. And it's really an opinion piece by somebody named Brittany Evans that apparently is from this newspaper place. And here's what it is basically her explaining how COVID kids, who I guess don't know reading, writing, arithmetic, but have mastered crazy emotions and that kind of stuff, that somehow this is some super group of people. Okay. I don't even know how to explain why you would put this in your paper or why this is considered to be, why not, Clermont County content. Now, I don't know who this Brittany Evans is, but apparently this is, reflective of this newspapers because she's somebody that works there. So I'm going to highlight a few of the things here, so basically the kids are, we all know COVID absolutely destroyed socialization skills, right? Absolutely destroyed socialization skills. And so this Brittany Evans is somehow describing that somehow this is a benefit, I guess. Somehow this is fantastic because now our kids have been so shocked and stunned and blunted that they're ready for anything. They're ready for anything. Kind of like, let's put everybody in a concentration camp for a couple of years because that'll help them to be ready for anything. So it starts with teachers describing children. This part is particularly talking about kids coming in new into school as being super sensitive and constantly going nuts and throwing themselves on the floor and stuff like this. Now this is on the parents. Okay, right? Now any competent person would say this is on the parents, and I don't care about COVID. The parents have a responsibility to make sure their kids are prepared for school. Okay, know their ABCs, know how to behave. And this is not. By the way, this is one of the things I got a lot of beef with the education system, but teachers are being put in positions where they have to address some of these things that they should never have to address. And then it has this like talking about the COVID world, a world that revolved around survival, not structure. Maybe like concentration camp probably revolved around survival. It's just like the drama. The drama is these kids are also imaginative, expressive, and deeply curious. They know how to connect emotionally, sometimes too intensely. Yeah, like sometimes they're going to be in the older, throwing a trash can through a Starbucks window and torching a car. It seems she's rationalizing bad behavior, and that being emotional is if anything, we need less. To me, we need less emotional, more focused on facts, logic, ability to deal with criticism without freaking out. So, but here, like another passage, faced with teaching not only reading and counting, but self-regulation, patience, and empathy. So, hey, what's your grade in empathy? A, B, C, D, F. Not what's your grade in math or reading. Okay. What's your grade in patience? A, B, C, D, F. This is just a dumbing down of education. Apparently, Brittany Evans is part of that or loves that or something. Okay. World's less predictable and our children, intuitive as they are. Okay. So we just basically fucked over our kids. Let's keep this in mind. We as adults fucked over our kids with this COVID shit. Okay. Now, if you had somebody, COVID's a real thing. I'm not saying it's not a real thing, but the response to COVID made no sense. Like to lock kids down, shut down schools made no sense whatsoever. And now we're justifying, pat yourself on the back, parents, by totally effing over your kids in this COVID deal and letting the government do it. You actually helped them. You did a fantastic job. Okay. So teachers say COVID kids are different. I also believe they're exactly who they are destined to be as children. So your kids being effed up is what they're destined to be. Okay. And you should be proud of that. You should be proud. No, you should be hacked. You should be hacked that your kid is developmentally, slowed because of COVID and a huge amount of bad decisions made by adults during COVID. You should be hacked with that. Now, my kid, for example, was in college at the time of COVID. He should be hacked at it. He should be hacked at it. He described the experience of being self-taught. Think about that. You're paying like shitloads of money, and he described it as being self-taught. So he was proud that he could teach himself the subjects that supposedly he was paying somebody to teach him. Okay. And then what we need now that these kids are effed up, last paragraph, I think I'm gonna highlight here. Now I give one other. Maybe what they need at most isn't stricter structure or softer discipline, but understanding from parents, teachers, and society that still healing alongside them. So we don't need any discipline. It would be wrong to have discipline on the kids. Let them throw the trash can. Let them writhe on the floor because they didn't get what they wanted. Let them do it. It would be wrong to have any sort of stricter structure uh, or discipline. Okay, we don't need any of that. Okay, I mean this. I wonder if this person that has kids. Okay, but it always surprised me is how do these people like? I saw this with I've like listened to Jordan Peterson and so forth. Is celebrities who embrace their kids being LGBT. Like I think Megan Fox, like 3 out of 5 kids she has are some sort of LGBT something. And Jordan Peterson talks about like there's no statistical basis where this could ever happen. This would be impossible to happen without the parent actually playing a role in encouraging this in their kids. And that parents now try to validate themselves as being awesome via kids, regardless of whether what the kid's doing is good or bad. It's somehow for the parent to be awesome. Like I let my kid pretend there's a girl, or I let my kid pretend there's a boy, which they're not. And that somehow makes me more awesome as a parent because I'm so awesome on tolerance. So, any event, that is the Sun story. Now, as far as this upcoming week, okay, so I'm very busy, and on Wednesday there is a hearing relating to Aaron Haslam in West Union. I'm supposed to have a Watchdog Academy. I may postpone that. I need people to get back to me that they want to participate. I'm so busy right now that if there's not a number of people that want to participate on Wednesday at 7 to 9 that have not informed me that they want to be there, then I may well postpone that just because I got so much stuff on my plate. And so those are the key things. And like I said, I'm going to try to hammer through and pile through a bunch of things I got on my plate and get back to kicking content out at the same rate. But for the next couple days or so, at least, I'm going to be holed up trying to get some stuff done and ready. But it all ties in. So, like I said, it's not when I had people in Adams County when I went quiet for not that long, and they're like, "What about Adams County?" Well, when I did that like a couple 3 weeks ago, I was working on Adams County filings and stuff. So I was still working on the stuff. So any event, hey, I apologize for screwing up on when I put this out because I needed to push it back an hour, and when I put it out, it went out at 9 o'clock, but I still want to do it at 10. And I want to thank people that have joined and encourage you to tell your friends and to check out the clips that I will put the list of links that I talked about in the post relating to this. And thank you and have a great weekend.